the Inflation Reduction Act has really helped, particularly African Americans, and certainly it has helped folks in rural areas. And we've had this discussion today before you came on. The unemployment rate for African Americans, men and women, the lowest in what, decades? Am I right about this?
Yep. You are 100% right.
And here's what people are saying. Well, we don't feel it or we don't see it in the grocery stores. But from what I've read, is that there's always, is there not, a lag between an initiative like the Inflation Reduction Act and what people might see in places like the grocery store or the gas station.
Yep. So let me talk a little bit about the IRA,
okay,
Joe, and answer your points, which are, as usual, on the money. So the bottom line is that the IRA is one of the most significant pieces of legislation in decades, and it's going to help all of America, but particularly our communities of color, in three different ways. First, they are going to create a green economy to convert our country to dealing with, wind and solar, is going to create millions of new jobs. And just as I heard the lady at that last caller say, those are going to be good paying jobs, union jobs, and there are many more new ones. And we make emphasis to reach out to people who've never had these jobs before. The construction unions, which in the past did not employ many peoples of color, the laborers union now is a third people of color. It's advancing throughout, and as you need many of these new jobs, many communities of color will benefit from good paying jobs that they were excluded from in the past. So that is great news. And you will start seeing that. It's just beginning now because they're just beginning to set up all of these new factories and new plants, etc. But that you will see much more of it later. Second, it is going to reduce costs. People have already seen some things. We all know diabetes really affects our communities very strongly, and insulin will now cost it now for senior citizens only $35 a month, right. And that's huge for seniors. Now we are pushing to get that for everybody,
okay.
And we have good bipartisan support to try and get that done right away this fall when we come back in Congress. But you're also seeing drug prices are going to start going down, and no one, starting in January, will pay more than $3,000 out of pocket for drugs. No one a year later, $2,000. We all know the stories of families, of poorer families, working class families, middle class families. A kid gets cancer. They say, well, we have this drug, it'll probably cure it. But it's $1,200 a month, and your insurance doesn't cover it. Well, now no one will pay for that. No one will pay. They'll pay a certain amount a month, affordable, but no more than $3,000 a year, $300 a month. So that is a great thing that is happening. Third, in terms of health, we put $60 billion to deal with environmental justice. We all know in the old days when highways and all these other things were built, they were located in poor communities because they had the least political clout to resist it. A lot of that's going to be undone. Let's take, there's a bus station in East Harlem. It's a minority community, and it has one of the highest asthma rates in all of New York because they put that bus station there. There's now going to be money to change that bus station to be totally clean, to deal with electric vehicles, to not pollute the area, and the kids will be much healthier. There's $60 billion, 10 times more than ever before, to deal with poorer communities who are hurt. And finally, another great advantage here, the costs of buying an appliance are going to go down. The costs of fixing up your home are going to go down because there's subsidies to make them green. And so you're going to see a huge amount. Now, inflation a year ago was 9%.
Right.
Now it's 3%. it takes a while for people's memory to catch up. They still remember the bad old days. So this is going to be great news for America as a whole, but for communities of color in particular. And it's always been my watchword to make sure that the communities that have been left out before are not left out in the new legislation with me as majority leader.